Sean Levine will step into the cage with Brendan Tobin in Are You Gonna Fight Me?
I'm gonna fight your ass.
Here on Tapped Out.
That's right, fight me like a man.
Only on the BetQL network.
You know the rules. I want a good, clean fight. When I tell you to break, I want you to step back out my command and break. Now go back to the corner and come out fighting at the bell.
Well, buddy, I was actually going to take it easy on you this Saturday night until you said that you're going to be glued to the TV because you're an Arlington, what are they called? Renegades?
Renegades, yeah.
You're not.
The heat of the XFL.
Oh,
I mean, how could you not love a story? 4-6 in the regular season. They fight their way to the championship. That's what sports is made of, Sean.
I'm about to vomit. Hey, speaking of the Miami Heat, I'm pretty sure you're going to fight me on this one. The Miami Heat, as hot as they've been, they are not going to win the NBA title. I saw yesterday before they beat the Knicks, you could still get them on BetMGM at 14-1. Let me say that again. They've been white hot. I know that's what you guys like to call it down there in South Beach.
That is
but y'all ain't going to win the title. You going to fight me?
I mean, of course I'm going to fight you. Like, well, let me ask you this. Who do you trust? Because are you going to tell me you trust the Lakers? You trust the Lakers?
No,
the Lakers.
No, hold on. Once Boston puts a 40 spot on Philly tomorrow night and wins that game like 130-90, and they start to feel good about themselves, I think you're even going to recognize, damn it, that's the Boston Celtics at that point.
No, I trust me. First of all, I want. Look, it's tough to even know who I want because I'd love to beat Philadelphia again, but Philadelphia is not even a challenge. So I want Boston because I want ultimate revenge. Hate that fan base. But this Boston team's not even as good as they were last year, and the Heat were a shot away from beating them with a Kyle Lowry dragging around on one leg. Now you got a healthy Kyle Lowry. You got Jimmy Butler playing like the best player in the world. Bam Adebayo was a monster. He would not stop dunking on all the New York Knicks for the last 4 games of this series. I love how the Heat are playing right now, man. I honestly don't fear any team left in this playoffs. The only team that I think could go, it's going to be a long series with that I feel like could go the distance would be Denver. Denver's really good. Jokic is amazing. He's always given the Heat trouble. But like if it's the Lakers in the finals, trouble. If they're taking on the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, sorry, Boston. Philadelphia, dude, let me tell you something about Philadelphia. They don't want the Heat. They don't want the Heat. Like the last thing they want is the Heat.
What about what's going to happen with Boy Wonder, Tyler Hero? If they go on and actually win the finals and they do it all without him, then what do they do with him?
Well, I mean, then they bring him back next year and they win it again. I mean, what do you mean? His contract's not up. He doesn't have to go anywhere.
For real though, how come they weren't this team during the regular season with all the talent that they had? Like, they were just waiting to put their foot on the gas. What the hell's going on?
I think a couple of things happened. I mean, like Jimmy Butler was playing.
They've been the best team in the playoffs. I mean, I know you'll say it, but I'll say it too. They have been.
I think a couple of things have occurred for them in the playoffs that were different from the regular season. One thing that was similar to the end of the regular season was Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler was playing at this level. You go look at his efficiencies. You look at his scoring from the last 20 games of the season. He was playing amazing. Their defense wasn't as good because they tried to introduce Kevin Love into the starting lineup, and him and Bam just did not mesh. It just wasn't a fit. Kyle Lowry was still on the mend from injuries, but once they got to the playoffs, something just switched from the way they played. Him and Bam and Kevin Love's chemistry got to a better point, so that worked out. Then you do lose Tyler, which sucks. You lose scoring, but you add defense because you'd have Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Caleb Martin. Those guys are demons. And Kyle Lowry, dude, I'm going to be honest with you. Kyle Lowry has been amazing. He has been everything they thought they were going to get last year. He has brought that to this team this year, and he's kind of been in that Tyler Hero role that he was last year, where it was 6-man off the bench, guy who can kind of run everything, quarterback everything, be that spark. He's doing that. So I honestly think in a lot of ways, the team that was a shot away from the finals last year, this team is better situated. I just think they're in a better spot health-wise and roster construction-wise.
All right, let's switch sports, but talk about another team that Miami fans have interest in, and that's the Jets. The New York Jets now have Aaron Rodgers. Are you going to fight me if I say they're still not a playoff team?
No, why would I fight you on that? The Jets? No. First of all, it's the Jets. You know this is going to blow up in their face. Second of all,
it's not even so much that they're the Jets. It's just that Aaron Rodgers, I get it, back-to-back MVP a couple of years ago, but sometimes these guys fade gracefully, like like a Tom Brady, where this year you were like, he's still great, but he's not the Tom Brady we've gotten used to. And then sometimes it's more like Peyton Manning, where they just, bam, hit a wall. And I'm not saying that's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers, but if you maybe put a number next to his name, of all the quarterbacks in the NFL, he's like the 15th best quarterback in the NFL. Getting him is not that big of a deal.
I think that, like, if I'm a Jets fan, I would be excited to have him just because what the other options were. Obviously, it's way better.
Upgrade.
But I'm with you. I have no idea what he's going to be. He seems like a guy that, like, when he cares, but when does he care? It's a little bit like John Jones. Like, it's a wild card. Like, when he's fully engaged, man, he could be the best thing on the football field, but you never quite know when it's going to be that. So I don't know, man. I don't think it guarantees it. Plus, it's tough. Dolphins are going to win that division, obviously. Bills are going to take a huge step back. I think Josh Allen is, him saying, "Oh, I'm going to be more quarterback than football player this year." Seen that story before. That means I'm tired of running. So, all of a sudden he's going to be this marvelous pocket passer, never running. Now you're taking away what's special about him. So that's not going to be good for the Bills. It's going to be tough, man. I think the AFC. Oh, that too. Listen, he loves to give the other team the football. But I saw the schedule line up. We played That's a Win, That's a Loss this week for the Dolphins schedule, which, by the way, can we just talk about this for a second?
Yeah.
How disgraceful is it that they're putting Dolphins and Chiefs in Germany? What the hell is that? Tyreek Hill had already said, I'm going to come there. I'm going to give the peace sign to the Chiefs' kingdom at Arrowhead. They throw this over in Europe? What is that?
What do you mean? I figured that you and I would hop on a little jet, or can we take a boat? How's that work? I don't think my Camry's going to get us there. I figured you and I would both end up in Germany and just like enjoy some, what is it, Wiener Schnitzel?
You get some schnitzel and have some Lederhosen?
Yeah. Whatever they do.
All right. I mean, we got some time to prep. When is that, in November? We got some time.
We'll figure it out. Chiefs, by the way, are like 6-1 favorites at BetMGM. You're crazy if you pick anybody except for them. All right. You're going to fight me if I say we're going to see Nate Diaz back in the UFC, probably after this Jake Paul fight. And then on top of that, I would say within a year and a half, we're going to see Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor, part 3 in the UFC. Are you going to fight me?
Wow.
Because it has to happen relatively soon for it to be the fight that we're all hoping it is. I mean, I would give that window about 2 more years, and then it becomes Pacquiao-Mayweather.
I honestly feel like it's already Pacquiao-Mayweather. I think both of these guys are well past where they are. So, I think we've kind of already turned the page on as far as, are they a little too old for this? The answer is yes. But I am not going to fight you on your point. I think that Nate Diaz will be back in the UFC, and I agree. If he comes back, the only thing that seems to make sense is fighting Conor McGregor. Although, the only thing I would say as a caveat to that is, dude, if Conor loses to Michael Chandler, I think it's time to pack it up. Unless it's like an amazing classic. Let me say this. If Conor McGregor looks non-competitive against Michael Chandler, it's time to pack it up.
I'm already over it. I can't believe it because I think he's everybody. Like a lot of us, the reason we got into fighting, and he used to be the epitome of cool. But I've told you many times, he's like the sun. I can't look directly at him. Like I need sunglasses.
What's with his face? What is going on with his face? His chin is 3 sizes bigger than it was. Yes, he looks like he got dipped in Hulk juice. I don't know what's going on there, dude. Like, he's showing up to BKFC. He's swigging out of his proper 12, and he just looks juiced to the gills. Let me get stressed. Looks, I don't know. I just wildly assume. I think that dude looks like he's on the sauce.
This coming from a guy that Sean O'Malley once called the fat guy on the left. I'm just saying. Robbie Lawler.
He did. But just because Sean O'Malley has eyes doesn't mean I don't. I think we can all see what Conor McGregor's going
on. We're gonna get Robbie Lawler for the final time at UFC 290. If you take yourself back to that Ben Askren fight, and I say that I'm still a little bit upset because I feel like Robbie got screwed in that fight. You gonna fight me?
He did. No. I'm glad you actually mentioned it because I feel like it gets lost in history. I feel like Ben Askren got to go on this entire charade based on Herb Dean not having eyes. So yeah, that annoys me greatly. So not gonna fight you on that. Love Robbie Lawler, one of the best, one of the most entertaining fighters out there. Absolute savage, and I'm sad his career's coming to an end, but I'm also happy that, I got to watch a lot of it because that guy was an awesome, awesome fighter.
And it's great that the Rory and Robbie fight is going to go into the Hall of Fame. I think 80% of fight fans will tell you that that's the greatest UFC fight of all time. You might get some people telling you that the Tough One finale, just because of its importance, maybe was the greatest UFC fight of all time. But you're not going to get a whole lot of other ones in there.
I remember, I don't know if I've told this story on the show or not, because you accuse me of repeating stories, but I do remember interviewing. I do remember interviewing Rory McDonald for PFL, one of his cards coming up down here, and he was training at Sanford at the time. At Sanford, I don't know I think it's whatever, Cliff Kingsbury Academy, whatever the hell they've renamed it. 900. It's like Kaseya Center. They rename it 100 times. I don't know what the Black Zillions call their gym anymore. Love you guys though. But I got to sit with Robbie to Roy McDonald because that's Robbie Lawler's gym, and I was like, hey, it's kind of weird. You guys have like this all-time classic fight. Is it weird that you guys train at the same gym now? And he goes, we've never spoken about it. I found that crazy. They've never spoken about it. You guys are in the same place. You guys are going in the Hall of Fame together. Now, mind you, this was a couple years ago. Maybe they had some, went to Rocco's Tacos or something and, had a quesadilla and talked about it and shot the bleep about it. But I found that nuts that Rory McDonald and Robbie Lawler had never talked about that fight.
Never been to Rocco's Tacos. When I'm down in Miami, you can catch me at a Bodega Taco. That's for sure. Let's talk a little boxing here for a second, PT. Tank Davis next fight, it has to be against Shakur Stevenson, right? You going to fight me?
I would say Devin Haney would be the more likely path, to be honest with you. I think Shakur Stevenson, there's some promotional issues there because he's a top-ranked guy. Devin Haney doesn't have the contractual obligations. Devin Haney, by the way, big fight coming up next week against Vasily Lomachenko for all the belts. So that's going to be a really fun fight to watch. But I think Shakur Stevenson, a couple of things. One, I think his age. He's very, very young. I think that's I think that they would feel like that's throwing him in there a little bit too soon. I don't know if the mainstream knows Shakur quite to the level yet. So I feel like the one that makes more sense is him versus Haney. Should Haney get past Lomachenko?
Speaking of fighters that everybody doesn't necessarily know right now, but they should. I don't know if you caught Johnny Eblen in the Bellator cage. So Fabian Edwards went out there and defended his belt, and then Johnny Eblen went nose to nose with him. Are you going to fight me if I told you that Johnny Eblen, if he came to the UFC next week, by the end of the year, he would be the UFC champion?
Man.
Friend of the show, Johnny Eblen. Good guy.
So is Stylebender.
Missouri guy.
Show. He is a Missouri. He was a great guy. He was a fun interview. I enjoyed talking to Johnny Eblen. I will say everybody who trains an American Top Team says that Johnny Eblen is the truth, that, just because he's in Bellator doesn't mean he wouldn't come into the UFC and whoop everybody. He doesn't really have a weakness. Great wrestler, great striker. Shout out to my guy, Dia Davis, his boxing coach. I
think he's the best fighter outside the UFC. I think now, not including Francis, but I'm talking about somebody that hasn't dipped their toes in the UFC
I got
water.
you.
It's got to be Johnny Eblen, right?
Yeah, I think that's probably the right answer. I would think that's the right answer.
I mean, maybe the Mercenary. I don't know, man. But there's a couple of them. But damn, I mean, Johnny Eblen is an absolute animal. Speaking of animals, have you been tossing some rats onto the ice down at those Florida Panthers? Do people care about the Florida Panthers now that the Heat are still like in the playoffs?
People are buzzing about the Panthers, dude. I'm not gonna lie. That was a franchise nobody cared about, but they have been so good. Not this good, obviously. They haven't been in the Eastern Conference Finals since '96, but they have been consistent.
Is that John Van Beesbrook?
Been in the playoffs. Yes, it is.
There you go.
That's you asked me before the show. You said, do the Panthers and the Heat play at the same spot? Back then, they did. They played at Miami Arena. Now they both each have separate facilities. Which, by the way, NHL, NBA, don't cross over games. I'm going to be really mad if you do that because, dude, let me tell you something. Last night, watching that game in overtime and the Heat being like a 4-point game with the Knicks, not good for my stomach. Not good.
The Beezer. That was, by the way, 250-1 odds that John Van Beesbrook's name would come up during the show. So if you had that one, go ahead and cash your ticket. Congratulations on that. Go figure. Miami, the center of the sports universe, where you've got a hockey team that is now a series away from the Stanley Cup Finals, a basketball team that's a series away from the NBA Finals. And damn it, you guys had 2 of the Final 4 teams. As if a beach and 90-degree weather all the time isn't good enough. Goodness gracious. Quickly, you got 20 seconds. Tell me that story as quick as you can about if panthers really exist in Florida.
They do. They were resurfaced because of the pumas infiltrating the population, because apparently pumas are horny, so they're able to revitalize the population that was on the brink of extinction.
I don't know what any of that meant. Coming up next, Marcel Dorff is going to join the show. You're locked into the BetQL Network.